What's up everybody, Adrian here back with another video. Now we're going to be talking about the different Batmans throughout the movies, supposedly being the greatest detective of all time. Now I'm going to come out and say, Batman as a detective sucks. He stinks at being a detective.
Oh my god, are you crying?
No, it's just raining.
And you're gonna be like, oh my god, how can you say that? How dare you? He's the greatest detective of all time. The smartest man detective of all time. And my counter to you is, based on what? Have they ever explained in any of the Batmans? If they did, let me know. Did they explain how he became such an amazing detective? They explained how he became an amazing fighter. He was trained for years by Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows. But how did he become a detective? And throughout the Batman movies, they don't really show him doing any detective work. They don't really show off his detective skills. Maybe they do a little bit in the Nolan Batman movies when he cuts out that bullet in the wall and then he tries to reconstruct it in his downstairs lair or whatever with that Gatling gun. Who cares? You build him up to be the greatest detective of all time and that's all you got to show in all the movies ever made? That's why I'm excited to see the Batman new movie coming out with Matt Reeves talking about he's specifically gonna focus on Batman being the greatest detective of all time. And I'm like, great, because we haven't seen him do that. Even Michael Keaton's Batman didn't really detect. Even the Batman, when he was going up against the Jim Carrey Riddler, he did a little bit of detective work because it's the Riddler. He had to figure out the puzzles that he was getting. But even then, whatever, he was just like, oh, I figured it out because I'm super smart. But we didn't actually see all the detective tools and the detective work figuring out, like the first 48 TV show, putting all the puzzle pieces together. Remember at the end of Batman Returns, the Nolan trilogy, the very end scene with Jason Gordon-Levitt is supposed to take over the Batman mantle, Robin version of Batman, and then he goes into the Batcave and then that thing pops up with the Batsuit and he's supposed to be like, okay, I'm the next guy in line. He was a better detective, or going to be a better detective. You know why? Because Jason Gordon-Levitt was a police officer. He actually studied in criminal justice. Maybe he was even gonna try to go to be a detective. He had more detective skills than Batman ever had. Now, did Batman ever go to community college night school and take some courses in criminal justice? Did they ever bring that up? Was he a cop before he became Batman? Did he get his detective badge before he became Batman? Did he study under some retired detective? No. They just automatically made him the greatest detective of all time because he's smart. Just because you're a genius doesn't make you great at a certain skill that you never studied before. You might be able to pick it up quicker, but you don't have the skills of actually doing the work of years and years and years of detecting. Did Sherlock Holmes teach him how to be a great detective? Maybe Watson helped him on the side. Gave him a couple classes at night school. None of this makes sense. They never explain it in any of the movies, how he's supposed to be the greatest detective of all time. He never studied to be a detective. He was never a cop, never a police chief. He didn't take any classes. He didn't talk to any guys that are detectives. He just automatically is the greatest detective of all time. Like, look at this picture. There's Sherlock Holmes and there's Batman, implying that they're supposed to be some equals or something like that. Maybe in the comics, Sherlock Holmes taught him to be the greatest detective. He taught him everything he knew, but they didn't mention it in the movies. And if they did, let me know. How did he learn the skills to be the greatest detective of all time? So thanks for listening. Until next time, see you next video.